Wanna hear about another obsession of mine?
Team Fortress 2 is another one of those games that's more or less been with me my entire life, and by that I mean I was literally born 2 months before it was. I'd low-key consider this game to be one of the best of all time, with an appealing yet incredibly technical and purposeful art style, a dynamic and fast-paced style of gameplay that allows for shit like this. A multitude of unique and expressive characters, with it all combining to form one of the best casual experiences in any game in my opinion. But Team Fortress 2, TF2, was released all the way back in 2007. That's about 18 years ago. And it's pretty clear to see that it's seen better days, with endlessly flawed and buggy code that's remained in the game despite various updates over the years, a player base that's not the greatest.
Oh, what? You're live on Twitch?
I wish everyone on your live stream a wonderful day.
And overall, the game just doesn't pull in as many players as it used to, falling behind more recent hero shooters like Marvel Rivals. But what if I told you it was far worse? That also, alongside these issues, self-aware code, eldritch beings, and hordes of the undead hid beneath this game's harmless exterior. Well, today, I'll be briefly going over a few examples of these that show, without a doubt, that something's wrong with Team Fortress 2. It's no secret that TF2 is an incredibly buggy game, with major gameplay aspects such as Pyro's flamethrower hitbox remaining completely unfixed until 10 years after the game was released, and a rumoured coconut picture hidden within the files of the game that, if deleted, would cause it to no longer function. But what if TF2's code was so jumbled and broken that it actually managed to gain sentience? This is the general synopsis of Beta Fortress, developed by Grickerboy on itch.io. I think that's how you pronounce your name, I'm sorry. It's essentially a horror game, contextualized within a hypothetical older build of Team Fortress 2, where the game has seemingly taken on a life of its own, with weird code sprouting up across the game, as well as jumbled up text that can only be described as a new language appearing in elements of the game's UI. For some reason though, despite the overall uninviting, unfinished nature of the game, not to mention all the weird shit, we still decide to play, creating a new server and hopping into a game of capture the flag as the only class we're able to play, the sniper. And now we must defend ourselves from the various corrupted classes the game throws at us, as we just try to have 5 peaceful rounds of CTF to ourselves. This is the general gameplay loop of Beta Fortress, managing resources such as our ammo and time left in order to keep these various evil forces at bay and win the rounds. It's quite cool and fun, honestly. On paper. I'll get to that, don't worry. The atmosphere in this game is amazing. Oh, my voice is going. No. The atmosphere in this game is amazing, using Team Fortress 2's classic catalogue of iconic sounds and a general horror ambience that builds throughout each round to instill tension and powerful dread. I honestly think I was more scared just walking around the map in the initial stages of the game than I was when all the corrupted classes were schmooving around me. But then again, I think that's just because I'm terrible at horror games.
Come here.
Which leads me into talking about the classes, which are interesting. So throughout the game, you'll be chased by one or more corrupted classes, each having their own mechanics and ways of evading them. You have the spy, who can be heard uncloaking behind you, the scout, who moves incredibly fast, but only when you're not looking at him, and the heavy, who... I don't fucking know, he kind of pisses me off, honestly, but I'll get to that. Oh, by the way, you also have the pyro, but he, barely does anything. To start with, the scout and spy's mechanics are really cool and thought out, reflecting the behavior and playstyle of the class themselves in the real Team Fortress 2 incredibly well. Not to mention they balance out incredibly well from one another, which gives this really great sense of challenge that only amplifies the tension. The heavy is not that. So after I've just described the scout and spy's mechanics, what do you think the heavy's mechanics would look like in this game? Maybe it would reflect his playstyle as a more tank-like character, being incredibly hard to kill but moving at a slow pace. Or maybe it has something to do with the sandwich, his favourite snack. Perhaps he's one of the only friendlies in the game, and he asks you to simply eat the sandwich he gives you, or else. Nah, he's just a floating head. A floating head that kills you! Guys, this is so heavy. This is so heavy. No. It's not. I can't do this anymore, man. Yeah, so the Heavy's game mechanic here is that he resides either above you or below you, and you have to shoot him when he starts to shake his head in disapproval, I guess. Not only do I feel this game mechanic just doesn't fit the Heavy as a whole, but it's just so far removed from really anything TF2. It seems more like a Doors enemy than anything else. It also just doesn't gel well with the rest of the classes. By round 3, unless you're an epic PC god gamer, you're gonna feel incredibly overwhelmed as you have to keep your eye on so many things that you might even lose your place whilst trying to complete the round. But then again, this could all just be me. I'm not the best at video games. In short, if you love yourself some good horror atmosphere with a TF2 twist and complete 520 on a regular basis, then I'd most definitely recommend this game. If not, then I don't know, man, fuck off. As previously mentioned earlier, while TF2's community, I'd argue, is probably one of the best you can find on the internet, its player base is another story. Say you hop into a casual server one day. The most prominent signs of life you'll most often see will be players cussing each other out, the N-word being thrown around so much you'd think you were playing the fastest game of Wii Tennis ever, and maybe the odd bot or two sniping you from across the map, whilst probably also saying something racist. Or mic spamming, either or. Bonus points of both. But what if there was an even more malicious threat that plagued these servers? What if that nearly full server count you saw initially was merely a lie, and instead all those players that number represented were actually just the curling tendrils of a being far more eldritch and cosmic in nature? Well, for one, that's a really weird question, but Serverblight might be what you're looking for. With its first episode dropping on the 31st of October 2024, Serverblight is a fan-made Team Fortress 2 animated series created by two idiot Germans. That's not me being mean, by the way, that's the name of the channel. Actually, wait, no, that is me being mean. Fuck these guys. The channel being a collaborative effort between Derfish06 Studios and Lino Drops Dead, who are actually both German, if you can imagine that. The ongoing series follows various TF2 players witnessing and often succumbing to the digital body horror nightmare only ever known outside the series as the Serverblight. This is a series I've had my eye on for some time, and I realise now that everyone and their mother blight has made a video on this, but I still want to try and bring something new to the conversation. Rather than talking about the whole lore of the series, what it all means, etc, etc, I want to put the spotlight on the whole production side of this project and how it does horror really, really well. The animation, which I believe is a collaborative effort between Derfish and Lino, feels so incredibly meticulous and purposeful. The angles of the shots and positions of the characters can tell you so much with so little. Take episode 2 of the series for instance, where you slowly get this creeping suspicion that the TF2 player we've been following this time round, a newbie called Johnny Danny 12, is being stalked as he traverses the map. This isn't explicitly said or touched on in any way, but instead the simple decision to use these far away, sometimes partially concealed shots allows us to become paranoid and our mind to fill in the gaps. The fun thing about this series as well is that it also just loves to keep things ambiguous until, say, a big reveal of some kind. For instance, in many of the episodes, we sometimes might not even know if any of the characters we're following have become part of the Serverblight. Not until it's too late anyway.
Aaron? Ghost Soldier.
Take episode 3 for instance, where throughout the video we're led to believe the player Hectoron was simply just surviving along with his friend Dixalot. In no other series can you have a main character just called that. But that illusion is soon shattered once we're given this dread-inducing shot. And it's revealed to us that Hectoron had succumbed to the Serverblight right under all our noses. And the scariest part of this? We all could have seen it coming. We're told through Dixalot that the Serverblight can replay voice lines players have previously said, and if you watch the video again, you'll find that at a certain point, Hectoron does start to replay his own voice.
What? Yeah, that's... What?
It was at this point when I realised this that I got up from my gamer chair and clapped with tears and Dorito dust in my eyes. This reveal is then punctuated through how the Serverblight begins to contort Hectoron, with the now iconic shot of a hand slowly leering out of the player's mouth, with these awful guttural sounds being heard, making the process seem so much more forced and painful. Speaking of sounds, the music in this series is amazing.
No, wait, I want to talk about the Serverblight first.
How the Serverblight is portrayed alone is terrifying. Never mind all the lore and how it works and shit. You want to know how the Serverblight is shown to us in the very first episode? Well, we see Dix-a-Lot, who then later returns in future videos, looking on in horror to what seems to be the arm of a heavy, with the rest of his body obstructed by a wall. And upon closer inspection, the hand of that arm appears to have an abnormal amount of fingers. The next shot, we see it flinch. Like, fuck man, I love it. And this philosophy basically carries on throughout the following episodes, with the audience never fully seeing the blight itself, always just a disturbingly stretched hand round a corner or a glimpse of flailing, contorted limbs. This also carries over to those infected, with the subtle abnormalities being enough of a sign that things have gone south. This can be seen not only with Hectoron, but also with Gillisu in episode 2, as he seems to repeatedly bash his head into the ground in this really unnerving animation. Spoogs in episode 6, as he silently watches over our focus for that episode, classic. He's voiced by my good friend Berkey, by the way. We have a podcast now, link in description, link in description. And even in its more recent episodes with the player Grey Matter, as we see him standing uncannily, his head partially concealed by a set of stairs. It's so simple and subtle, yet just so effective at causing this deep feeling of dread within the viewer. That alone shows how great of a horror project this is. This effect, I feel, was only amplified even more so by the music, done by Lino Drops Dead. It's fairly rudimentary in the first couple episodes, being comprised mostly of just covers of the TF2 soundtrack with some horror ambience here and there, but it really begins to shine in and after episode 3. It just becomes so much more expressive, with moments of sadness and grief being felt in quieter scenes, along with sheer panic and stress accompanying the more high-octane moments. The feeling of relief is also something that's surprisingly put focus on in the series through the soundtrack, with the few times players actually escape the Serverblight being accompanied with these light, almost ambient tracks. It really makes you feel like these characters have survived an almost impossible situation, and it all gives so much depth to a series that could have easily just been some analog horror bullshit.
You're not Grey Matter.
What kind of fucking McDonald's has a message? What do I say, I want a burger tomorrow?
Now, I think I've talked about this series more than need be in this video. We've still got one more thing to cover, but I can't put enough emphasis on how well crafted and executed this series is. It's unlike anything I've really seen be done in an SFM animation, with the only real exception maybe being that Emesis Blue film from a couple years back. I think it does go a bit too far in places sometimes, but Dirtfish06 and Lino Drops Dead are both incredibly talented people at the end of the day, and have improved so much since that very first episode. I can't recommend this series enough, as what's here is amazing, and I have a feeling it's only gonna get better from here. Also, look, it's me, I'm here. I only play, like, Minecraft. God.
This guy should be killed.
And finally, TF2's kind of a dying game. I mean, don't get me wrong, the numbers TF2's still able to pull after nearly 20 years is actually insane, but people have proven that those Steam charts numbers are massively inflated by bots. And even with this amount of inflation at work, get out of my head, get out of my head. Newer games such as Overwatch 2 and Marvel Rivals are sweeping it with nearly twice the monthly player count, or more in Overwatch's case, I think, maybe, I don't know. But what if I told you TF2 was more dead than you think? What if I told you that TF2 was so dead that actual, real zombies were in the game? And I'm not talking about Halloween events or MVM waves, I'm talking about a horde of German zombies infecting and spreading around community servers across the world. I'm talking, of course, about zombie survival, better known as Medic vs. Engineer. Zombie Survival, not to be confused with Zombie Fortress, Zombie Infection, or any of the other 10 billion zombie game modes out there, is a community-made game mode for Team Fortress 2, turning the classic red versus blue dynamic into a ragtag team of survivors fending off against a zombie horde. The blue team are made to be primarily medics, with their melee weapons being their only means of attack. Once a survivor dies, they're then put onto the blue team and join the zombie horde. Speaking of survivors, like the blue team, the red team is usually comprised of just one class, that being the engineer. Unlike blue medics, however, they more or less have access to all their weaponry. However, they can't build sentries, so sorry to those who wanted to recreate Plants vs Zombies in this game. They can still build dispensers and teleporters though, which they'll have to use as barricades and escape plans respectively in order to evade the zombie horde. If there's still survivors at the end of the round time, they win, but if there aren't, well, the horde moves north once again. That's basically the short of it, but there's also things like perks which help balance out the classes by giving them certain abilities, such as zombies being able to double jump and survivors being granted various buffs if they're one of the last remaining. There's also loads of different strategies you could do, like using teleporters to telefrag zombies, or as a zombie, organize a coordinated attack to all rush into a survivor base. Not to mention all the strategies and challenges players might make for themselves. And on top of all of that, due to the game not having a specific source mod plugin attached to it, server owners that run this game mode are able to tweak it to their liking if they so wish, which is where things like bonus rounds, juggernaut zombies, and behemoths supposedly came from. All this to basically say I really like this game mode. For one, it's a really creative idea, distorting the gameplay of Team Fortress 2 into something like this. It's also just a really unique zombie game on its own. Most popular multiplayer zombie games just have the players be groups of survivors, shooting at endless amounts of zombie NPCs, but here the dynamic is so much more interesting, with players having to make their own defenses against players on another team that can plan and strategize just as much as they can. I deadass just feel this could excel at being its own thing, let alone as a TF2 custom game mode. That being said though, I do also feel that this game mode wouldn't be quite the same without the classic TF2 flair though. Like, in what other game are you just gonna sit back and drink a beer whilst zombies claw at the walls trying to get into your space? And then when they do, you just pull out the magical wrench and fly away. It's just so goofy and brilliant, which honestly makes it a shame that this game mode has kind of gone out of style today. In the Big 25, you'd be hard pressed to find a server running zombie survival, let alone one that's actually got players in. Listen, you watching this, if you take anything away from this video, please just take this. Bring back zombie survival. I don't care if there's better game modes or if Muzog doesn't play it anymore, this game mode deserves more people playing it, lest you miss out on some great, fun, and thrilling moments you probably won't get anywhere else. Thank you, and good night. So, with everything I've mentioned in this video, sentient AI, eldritch monsters, and zombies, how would you get past it all? How does one play Team Fortress 2 today and live to tell the tale? Well, lucky for you, I have the answers.
So this is the TF2 survival guide. It tells you everything you need to survive a TF2. Duh. So yeah, let's just open it up here. And oh yeah.